It's another week.
Yes. Welcome to another week of Case Files.
With Kat.
And Ashley. Yeah. It's been a week. Oh, what are you sipping on?
Oh, I still got my vodka.
I don't have a beer, because my whole dental stuff, it's next week. But I just want to point out that on the McDonald's cups now, it says,
"Oh no,
don't waste the taste," which is a very weird thing to me to be on the lid. I've never noticed that before, but
I don't know that that's new. I don't know that that's old. I think that's new. Don't waste the taste.
Yes, it's don't waste the taste, and it's on top of my lid for my tea.
Don't waste any of your soda. Drink it all up.
Yes, well, I mean, it's just weird. I've never seen it before. Yes, I will be.
I feel like there's like a sexual joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who approved it.
Don't waste the taste.
Anyways, now that we've lost everyone, my dental procedure's next week, and so after that, I will definitely be back to probably most likely drinking on the show because I always feel like I need a drink. So, anywho, I'm drinking unsweet tea. Yeah. That's where I am in life right now.
I've got the vodka. I'll drink enough for the both of us. I'm just kidding. It is a tall. It's not that too tall of a glass.
I would love to have a glass that size of vodka right now.
And tonic.
It looks delicious. Sure.
Lime juice.
Mm-hmm. Sure. What, like a splash? Like.
Yeah, like a splash. Like,
I see.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I didn't do a question of the week because it got out of hand. So I deleted it. So we'll try again next week and maybe, it'll work out better. I don't know what to say about that. If you guys didn't see it, well.
That's all right.
You won't get to see it. So anyways, and I also didn't do trivia because I actually felt like as I was doing this story, it was going to be kind of long, but then whenever I think it's going to be really long, it ends up being like 10 minutes. So I don't know. But I was going to originally, I will say this, I was going to do a paranormal, I am doing a paranormal story, but the original place I was going to do it on sounded a lot cooler until I started researching it. And I was like, well, this is like one thing. And so, I found a different paranormal story, and it's about an entire town that's haunted. So that's what I'll be doing this evening. It's an entire haunted town.
Well, let's do it.
Wow, okay. We'll just jump right in.
I'm in.
So like I said, I'm doing an entire town. Personally, I would not want to live in a town that was known to be haunted. I have enough bad luck that follows me around. I don't know that I need my whole town to be against me as well.
Burn it down.
That's what I would say. I actually got banned on Facebook for saying the phrase burn it down in reference to a spider. And I'm very upset about that. So I'll never let it go. Anyways, I'm very upset. I assume Glenn is still banned. I haven't talked to him in forever. He probably said something about burning down a spider as well. Apparently they do that. If you use the phrase on Facebook, burn it down, they will block you or give you a warning, because my friend just got banned for it yesterday. For using
really?
The phrase.
Because I feel like I said, as Sarah would say, burn it down.
Well,
but I think it was because I was quoting somebody else.
Maybe, because she just commented burn it down, and when I did it and when she did it, Facebook said we were inciting violence, and so yeah,
I feel like we were
got
killing
banned.
A spider.
Right. Anyway, so that's just your little fun social media fact for the day. I'll get into the story now because that's the only reason people are here. So like I said, I'm talking about a haunted town. It's Jerome, Arizona, and it is reportedly one of the most haunted towns in America, which I don't know how many like completely haunted towns there are in America, but this is one of them. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, though, is like they have, first of all, lots of haunted hotels, apparently. Like every hotel in Jerome, Arizona has ghosts. But I want to talk about the one that has the most ghosts. That's a little fun saying. The most.
That is. That's fun. The most ghosts.
I'm
excited.
You guys, listen, I have to entertain
like
myself.
Okay. Ear broke.
Yeah. Oh, he still hasn't fixed it. Poor Kevin. Okay. For those of you who don't know, Kevin is our screaming goat mascot who screams at very yes, that's Kevin. He screams at the right moments.
Sounds sick.
Oh, well, he's got a broken ear. I'd be sick too. Okay, so the most historic and most haunted hotel in Jerome, Arizona is conveniently called the Jerome Grand Hotel. It was originally constructed in 1926. It was not originally a hotel. It was a hospital called the United Verde Hospital, and it was owned by the United Verde Copper Company. Later, it became the Phelps Dodge Mining Corporation, and some knew it as the Phelps Dodge Hospital and United Verde Copper Hospital. Cooper. I don't know why I said copper. Cooper Hospital. So it was a hospital, then it was a mining company, and then it was back to a hospital. And at one time it was an asylum. So anyways, it was the fourth and final hospital in Jerome. It opened in January 1927. The United Verde Hospital was a state-of-the-art medical facility. I don't know how state-of-the-art they were in 1927, but for that time it says it was state-of-the-art. And in
Did they even wash hands in 1927?
I don't know.
They did. I'm sure they did.
In 1930, it was listed as the most modern and well-equipped hospital in Arizona and possibly in all of the western states. The hospital, however, was closed in 1950 as the mining operations began shutting down and medical services were available in the neighboring community of Cottonwood, where many of the staff transferred to. So the reason that hospital started shutting down because of the mining operations is that this town was a mining town. Everything was centered around the miners and like their kind of lifestyle, and I'll talk more about them later, but it wasn't really like a happening town. It was really just a mining. So when the miners started leaving and the operation started leaving, everything started to shut down. So again, many of them were going to Cottonwood, and then the building itself stood unused for the next 44 years. So the former owner of the hospital was the former hospital was purchased by Larry Arthur from Phelps Dodge Mining Corporation in 1994. And he turned it into the hotel, and he renamed it the Jerome Grand Hotel, and it officially opened 2 years later in 1996, and he is still the owner of that hotel today. So, the Otis elevator, this is part of the hotel. The Otis elevator, which was Arizona's first self-service elevator, was installed in the United Verde Hospital in 1926. It serviced all 5 floors of the building. It was regularly maintained and inspected. And this elevator is different from modern elevators because it was designed for hospital use. It travels much more slowly, at a distance of like 50 feet per minute rather than the 800 feet per minute found on high-rise buildings. And it's important to remember that it was regularly maintained and inspected because later we're going to talk about that. So, and then the cast iron Kewanee boiler, which was also installed in 1926, provides low pressure steam throughout the building. The boiler, designed to not only be portable but also convertible, could operate on wood, coal, or oil, and when in use during the hospital days, the source was oil and has since been converted to operate natural gas. The boiler also utilizes a dual pump feature, so it doesn't shut off for maintenance or repair. It's constantly doing pressure and warmth through the building. Wow. Okay, so now that we have those 2 facts out of the way.
Okay. I'm going to need to know. Test quiz later. Okay.
You're going to need to remember the elevator is fully operational, has been in operation since 1926 without any issues. Okay, so paranormal. The Jerome Grand Hotel's history has been described as having its chapters written in blood. Soils at unrest loom here forever. So that's definitely someplace I would want to stay. The front desk staff of this hotel, particularly the graveyard shift, have often reported hearing coughing and sneezing from the hotel's laundry room, seeing shadows in the same area whom they believe to be Claude Harvey, the hospital's maintenance man who was found dead on April 3rd, 1935, pinned beneath the Otis elevator, presumably murdered. They see and hear Claude roaming the stairwells in the boiler room as though he was still at work. Many guests have reported seeing the apparitions of two ladies, one in a white gown and another one in a nurse's outfit, as well as someone who appears to be a doctor or nurse in a long lab coat carrying a clipboard roaming the halls. A spirit cat is a frequent visitor to the hotel. Its origins are unknown, but the cat has been meowing, hissing, and scratching at the guests' doors and walls. Both staff and guests have heard and felt the cat brushing against their legs and snuggling against them while on the beds. Most notable and commonplace is the imprint of the bedding of what is believed to be the cat curled up that bedding moments earlier, smooth and straight.
Is there a picture? Is there a picture?
There are pictures online, I believe. It says a photo provided by a guest staying in room 20 in 2008 shows the cat very clearly sitting on a table looking toward the photographer. This photo is still at the front desk, along with numerous photos shared by guests and staff. So let me back up and explain the whole Harvey thing with the elevator. The reason they think he was murdered, even though it was originally called a suicide, is because the elevator fell on his head and crushed him. However, they say the elevator was fully functioning, it was operational. It moved so slow that had he been underneath it, he would have been able to move. And so they think like someone murdered him and put it there so his head would get crushed so it would look like a suicide. But it's never been solved. So they don't know what actually happened, but they say it was very unlikely that A, that's the way he would kill himself, and B, that he would just accidentally get his head smashed by this slowly moving hospital elevator that he had been working on for the last 10 years. So he roams. So are you looking up the cat photos?
I'm trying.
Okay. So there are 3 main rooms at the Jerome Grand Hotel that are the most haunted. So room 23 and room 25 are known as death rooms. And that is where,
God,
when it was the hospital, that is where the terminally ill patients would be put to die when it was the United Verde Hospital. So like basically any patient that was set to die or they thought was going to die, if they would go into these 2 rooms, and when it became a hotel, those were the rooms. I don't know why you would want to stay there, but yeah. That's literally where the terminally ill patients would all die in the hospital. Room 23 and room 25. Room 32 was where 2 separate men on 2 separate occasions committed suicide stayed. It is the most requested room by ghost hunters when they go to the hotel. The first suicide was a man who wheeled himself off of the balcony. And then the second was a man who had shot himself in the head.
Oh my God.
Guests who stay in this room report seeing things like doors opening and closing on their own, faucets turning themselves on and off, as well as hearing chilling noises, the window opening, like the balcony door opening. And there's actually several YouTube videos of ghost hunters and other, shows that have stayed in different rooms. All of the rooms are pretty much haunted. There's not a single room that doesn't have some kind of activity. But I know there's there's a bunch that have like stayed in room 37, 23, 25, 32. So you can't really go wrong with whatever room you choose, I guess. Room 310. Ghost. Okay, now to me, this wasn't part of the three main haunted rooms, but to me, this is the room where I'd be like, fuck no. Like,
Oh.
fuck no. Guests have reported the sight of a little boy in a towel,
No,
wet
no.
and shivering. They say this wouldn't be so unusual as the pool overlooks the hotel room. I mean, overlooks the hotel pool. But when the child, like, apparition disappears, you can still see a trail of wet footprints, like, leading to, like, the balcony that overlooks the pool. He is referred to as the water boy, and he is supposedly the ghost of a 10-year-old boy who had drowned in the hotel pool in 1936. Hotel staff have, it was a hospital at the time, but the hotel staff have been so rattled by his appearance, as well with like the other haunted stuff that happens, that most of them refuse to work on the third floor. Apparently the third floor is the most haunted. It has the most haunted rooms. That's where the two guys committed suicide. It has the death rooms. Well, the death rooms are all on floor 25, the second floor, sorry, but the third floor has room 32. It has all these just crazy noises that they hear. It has crazy like visions. And so, yeah, like they hear giggling, they hear children's laughter.
No.
They hear like
That
just
is
random.
Nope.
Yeah. And so you can hear that throughout the whole hotel. You can hear like children's laughter. You can hear patients moaning. You can hear all kinds of things. But like the third floor is supposedly like the worst. So that was the Jerome Grand Hotel.
That's just like one place. I mean, you could probably tell all kinds of stories on just that one place. That's crazy.
I mean, and it's actually a really beautiful hotel. It sits up on like a little hill, and I'll post pictures when we release the episode. But it sits up on a hill, and it kind of overlooks like a mountain and stuff. It's really actually very pretty, but apparently extremely haunted. I think it's one of the few hotels in Jerome that you can still stay at. A lot of these places are no longer open to public tours or anything like that. So we're going to talk about another hotel in Jerome,
I don't
Arizona.
know that I ever want to visit this place.
Well, if you do, just sleep in your car. This is going to be about Hotel Jerome. They're very original with the names. You have the Jerome Grand Hotel, which is the one I just talked about, super haunted. And then you've got Hotel Jerome, that is also haunted. So Henry O'Callister was a silver prospector who traveled to Aspen in 1889. After striking it big in the mines, he went to Arizona. He checked into the Hotel Jerome, where he met Clarissa Wellington, the daughter of a very wealthy Boston family. The two fell in love, but Wellington's parents were not happy with this because, like, they were a very rich family, and here he was traveling around. He was just a silver prospector. When she was sent back to Boston, Henry was devastated. Aww. And so the local historians claim he spent his remaining fortune on booze and died a very lonely and broken man. So the hotel guests and the staff have claimed to hear the pained sobs of this man and have seen the ghostly figure of Henry walking the halls at night, internally heartbroken. Is that not the saddest thing you've ever heard?
I mean, I don't want to hear somebody crying all the time. That's like moaning metal.
I know, that's what I thought of.
Nobody wants like a crying ghost. You know, just like one that's like, hey.
I know. We want happy ghosts. I want kitten ghosts. I want cat ghosts, dog ghosts. So there were other stories of this hotel. The early hotel staff. There was one of the staff members was named Katie Kerrigan. She was a 16-year-old maid who was employed at the Hotel Jerome in 1892. She was described as being a very beautiful girl. She received a lot of attention from very wealthy hotel guests. And as a result, she was not favored by her coworkers. They would tease her daily. And one night, okay, this next part I just need to tell you involves animal abuse. So They took her kitten and they threw it in an ice cold pond behind the hotel, and
Oh
then
my God.
they told her they had done this, and so she was horrified and she ran out of the hotel to the pond to try and save her cat. She went into the water to try and find the cat and save her. She ended up getting pneumonia and she died 3 days later. And so now the hotel staff, like the present day hotel staff, claim that they can hear her carrying it, and she's actually a trickster. So she pulls pranks, she messes with rooms, she messes with guests. She goes into rooms that haven't been touched and just messes everything up. She pulls down the bed sheets. She leaves soapy water in the sinks.
While people are there, or not while people are there?
In rooms and out of rooms. She just messes with it. She's like, screw all of you. I hate all of you. She pulls pranks. Like, that's just her thing now, like, I guess to get back for retaliation of the way she was treated when she was there. And so, yeah, so she's the main ghost here next to Henry, who walks around crying. She walks around pulling pranks.
Got a really sad ghost and a really mad ghost.
I mean, you know. And then I would presume the kitten's ghost is somewhere, but it didn't specify. So, oh no, I'm sorry. Guests that have stayed at the Hotel Jerome have reported to hear coughing, labored breathing, even voices coming from rooms that have no one staying in them. They have they reported smells coming from rooms such as flowers, dust, cigar smoke, and whiskey, again from rooms where no one is staying.
It must be like a lot of. I mean, it would have to be pretty strong to smell whiskey. It would have. Well, you gotta remember, this was a mining town, so most of them, like when they weren't in the mines, were sitting around drinking, enjoying ladies of the night. What was this place before it was the hotel? Or has it always been the hotel?
This is always just a hotel. It was, yeah. So other guests have reported lights coming on and off, television sets turning themselves on and off. Many guests in hotels have heard and seen what appears to be a 4 or 5-year-old child running down the hallway on the 3rd floor, sometimes crying and sometimes laughing. I don't know what it is about the 3rd floor at these hotels, but it was the 3rd floor. This child also likes to appear at the foot of the bed in various rooms, just staring at the bed's occupants. So you'll wake up and have a 5-year-old staring at you. Frequently, the sounds of giggling and running occur on the top floor as though there are children at play. The sounds of newborn babies crying is common on the 3rd and 4th floors, as well as the faint smell of baby powder and zinc oxide. The babies crying.
And this was just a hotel all this time?
That's what they said.
Did they have a nursery in there?
The only one that was the hospital before was the Jerome Grand
the first
Hotel.
One.
Yeah.
That's just weird, like if it's always been a hotel.
The baby's crying has alerted enough guests that they have phoned the front desk out of concern. The location is always a vacant room. Staff as well as guests frequently report bedside table lamps and televisions being unplugged, shampoo bottles rolling across the floor or flying at them across the room. The sound of doors opening and closing while the room is otherwise vacant. Guests have found electronics such as cell phones and video recorders dead center beneath the bed. Another common report is that guests hear loud wailing, heavy breathing, sometimes talking from what they believe are spirits. Guests have also often reported seeing a bearded miner. Various reportings of the sightings appear on several different floors of the hotel. You know what? I'm sorry. Apparently the Hotel Jerome is also the Jerome Grand Hotel. They just call it the Hotel Jerome. So I guess to answer your question, it could have been the children's ward or something. I thought it was 2 separate hotels because they call it the Hotel Jerome in some places. And then as I was rereading the notes I took, I realized that it's the same place.
Got it.
So anyways.
So it was, yeah.
All of this is happening in one hotel, though.
One hotel.
So during his days as
I don't want to go there at all.
There are other hotels I talk about, which is why I got confused and thought this was the second one. During his days as the United Verde Hospital, there was an estimated 9,000 deaths that occurred. However, there are no actual records, so that number cannot be validated, and it could possibly be larger. When it was purchased in 1994, the hospital records were already gone, so all of the information regarding staff and patients is strictly word of mouth. Due to the extreme privacy to the hotel, they don't do private tours anymore, but you can stay there, but only the registered guests and staff are allowed, into the hotel, like on the floors. The lobby was the former emergency room, and that is open 24/7. And they have a restaurant called the Asylum Restaurant that used to be the admitting and dispensary portion of the hospital, and that is open to the public daily. But anything beyond the restaurant and the lobby is for guests only. So I do apologize for the confusion. Hotel Jerome is the Jerome Grand Hotel.
Okay.
So, my bad. But that's all one hotel. The children laughing, the children crying, the little boy, the prankster, the boiler man, the miner, the cat, those are all one hotel that you can go stay at in Jerome, Arizona. And that's not even the other hauntings that I have to talk about. So we'll go on to the other hauntings in Jerome in case you weren't convinced that that is bad enough. One of the harsh realities of living in Jerome was the constant danger experienced by women. Sammy Dean was a Texan, and she grew up very poor. She worked in both a clothing factory and a dry goods store. While records on Dean's adult life are kind of spotty, she did eventually working at one of the more upscale bordellos in Jerome. Dean did well for herself. She owned her own car. She had an extravagant collection of jewelry, and she was very popular with the clients in the red light district. Now, this did make her a target of envy, and men also didn't like this because she was very independent, and you weren't supposed to be independent. So she was murdered in her home on the evening of July 10th, 1930. The scene was made to look like a robbery gone wrong, and since both Dean's sidearm and a large stash of cash were missing, the police kind of took a more in-depth look, and they realized all of her jewelry was left untouched. And so they realized she had actually been murdered. Now, the reason it wasn't solved is because it was said that everyone thought it was the mayor's son and that he had actually killed her because she refused to marry him. So the case remains unsolved to this day.
Oh, wow.
Men are so fragile. I love all of you so, so, so much. But he literally killed her because she refused to marry him.
Yep.
I mean... And then made it look like a robbery. So today, the ghost of Sammy Dean is said to roam the alleys of the red light district. She is believed to still kind of like search for the one who actually killed her. But yeah, she kind of roams the alleyways of the red light district and makes her presence known. So again, it was a predominantly male population. Bordellos were one of the main ways miners could relax after a day of hard labor in the mines. The most successful bordello in town was Jenny's Place, which was run by a lady named Jenny Botters, and she was a Belgian immigrant who, while not the first madame in Jerome, was definitely the most successful. So the population of Jerome was steadily growing through the 1800s, but it was, again, mostly male miners. It was estimated that the population was 78% male. So this led to the building of, a lot of saloons, a lot of gambling halls, a lot of bordellos. And for those who don't know what bordellos are, they're basically brothels with a nicer name. And that contributed to lots of hostility, lots of testosterone, a lot of aggression. There was even a section of Jerome nicknamed the Husband's Alley, which was containing a number of bordellos with varying levels of respectability. So I don't know what that means, but I am assuming they went from really high end to very shady. But while you could get rich from mining in Jerome, there was an increasingly high chance of also getting robbed and murdered. So Jerome was actually named the wickedest city in the West in 1903 by the New York Sun newspaper. So not only was it the wickedest city in the West at that time, but now it's known as one of the most haunted cities in the country.
Wow.
So it's not a great place. So Jerome actually saw 3 catastrophic fires in an 18-month period, and some thought that was some like divine punishment for all the sinful nature of the city. But Jerome rebuilt itself every time. So during those fires, people would die, things would happen, and it said a lot of those ghosts of people that perished in those fires would still roam the town. Jenny, the successful bordello owner, her life was cut short by a client in 1905, and she has never left her bordello since. It is now called, it's a motel or hotel. It's called the Mile High Inn. Very classy. The site is home to countless reports of paranormal activity, all types, including seeing Jenny herself. The housekeeping staff says that Jenny is the prime ghost, and that she kind of wants to make sure everything is to her liking still. So she'll move objects around. She'll try to get the attention of the staff. She's like cleaning and like wanting things a certain way because it used to be hers, even though it was a bordel. Yeah. And so she's mostly a friendly ghost. She's more concerned about the appearance of her place. So the Mile High Inn hosts a number of spirits, including its former owner, which we talked about, and a male spirit who enjoys poking and pushing unsuspected guests. But in this hotel, there is also a ghost cat, and it is considered the strangest of the ghosts in the hotel. They thought that it may have belonged to Jenny, but the guests have reported seeing paw prints and indentations on their beds as well. And guests have often heard scratching at their door to the room, and when they open it, there's no cat. The phantom cat is supposed to look so real that guests have often been seen trying to pick it up, only to have the cat shockingly vanish in their arms. So that...
Oh my gosh.
That is the Mile High Inn. And they warn you when you check in, like, that you might see this cat and try to pick it up, and it will not be a real cat.
Oh my god.
So so that's 2 hotels. The next hotel, it was originally referred to as Connor's Corner, and now it is the Connor Hotel, and it opened as a luxury hotel in 1897, only to burn to the ground a year later in one of those fires. It was rebuilt, then damaged 2 more times by fire. Those 3 fires. It was damaged in all 3 fires. Yet the alleged hauntings at the Connor seem unrelated to the fires, but who's to say? So while supernatural activity has been reported throughout the hotel, room 1 is considered to be the most haunted and is rarely booked by guests. Usually the only people that want to book it are like ghost hunters, like, people specifically there for getting that kind of stuff on recording. One man was kept awake most of the night by the disembodied sound of a woman's laughter and whispering inside his empty room. Objects have been known to move on their own. The doors of the rooms, closet will sometimes open and close on their own. A woman in a red dress has been seen in this room too, as well as the apparition of the hotel's original owner, David Connor. Connor is usually spotted staring out the window only to vanish right before your eyes. If you miss him there, he is often seen at his other favorite spot, the hotel bar. As if Jerome wasn't, bizarre enough with its all of these hauntings above ground. There are also 88 miles of sprawling tunnels that snake beneath the town where men mine for their fortunes. So as you know, in many mining situations, there are very hazardous conditions. So there are hundreds of restless spirits that wander the tunnels underneath the town. Like hundreds of spirits.
Wow.
The most reported one that is kind of like their infamous ghost from the mines is his name is Headless Charlie. It is Headless Charlie. His head has apparently been relieved of his body. That's the nicest way I can put it. In a very freak mining accident, his head was never found. They never found this poor man's head. And so shortly after his passing, miners started finding large footprints that matched Charlie's throughout the mines. There have been reports of screaming and moaning also coming from the abandoned mines. The mines have been deemed very dangerous, and so they've been closed to the public. You can supposedly still hear Charlie in the tunnels standing outside of the tunnels as he searches for his head. You don't actually have to go into the tunnels to hear him.
Oh my gosh.
But yes. So hundreds of spirits down there. They don't know them all. Headless Charlie was the most famous one because it was such a horrific mining accident, and you can still hear him. So the now historic Jerome Valley Cemetery, which opened in March of 1917 on 40 acres of rolling fields. You would think 40 acres seems like more than enough room considering the town's population. However, there was an influenza outbreak in 1918, and over 51 people were buried in a single month during the height of the flu outbreak. Burials declined after 1919, and the last grave for the cemetery was dug in 1975. Okay, it was 40 acres. There are more than 700 people buried in the cemetery. The grave markers have been stolen over the years, and most of the burial records were destroyed in 1950s, so no one knows how many people were actually buried there, who was buried there, or what they died of.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah, so there have been many, many sightings of spirits that still walk the cemetery. Ghost lights. They have like spirits that make themselves known at, like as soon as the sun goes down. Basically, the cemetery is like a hotbed for activity. Just random spirits. You can hear like sounds coming from there. You can see like lights flickering on and off throughout there. Yeah.
Actually, let me tell you something. Burn it down. All of it, the whole town.
So there have been, like I said, many sightings of spirits in the cemetery. So the dangerous nature of mine working made the hospital in Jerome essential, as we mentioned, but the medical treatment and surgery coming at that time were not the best. So amputations were pretty common practice for injured miners. Many of those never survived the amputations. And and so the influenza outbreak that I mentioned also provided to be too much for the small hospital to manage. And staff were forced to burn unclaimed patients in the incinerator. And it's been said that the smelters used by the mines also saw, like, they would burn bodies in the mines and in the hospital.
Oh my God.
So visitors to Jerome have reported seeing figures staring out the windows of the now abandoned hotel. The hospital. And you can see them at all different hours. And then, of course,
Is that at the Jerome Grand Hotel?
That's another hospital that was there.
Oh, okay. This is the smaller one.
That's an abandoned hospital. And then you've got the Jerome Grand Hotel that was a hospital that was turned into a hotel, which I'm sure you could probably still see spirits staring out. So originally built as housing for local mine managers, the Ghost City Inn, which is another hotel in Jerome, has also served as a restaurant, a spiritual retreat, a private residence, and even a funeral home during its history in Jerome. A male and female spirit have both been seen by multiple guests in or near the Verde View and Cleopatra Hill rooms, respectively. No one knows who these spirits are or why they're there or how they ended up there, but they have been reported by numerous guests. There have also been reported poltergeist activity, such as disembodied voices heard in seemingly empty rooms, doors violently slamming on their own accord. While its official name this is another place. There's a place called the Lawrence Memorial Hall, which is Jerome's community center. It has now been pretty much renamed to Spook Hall by the locals. Yes, because there are still people who live in this town, and I don't get it. I don't know why. I would not be there. But it's been referred to as the Spook Hall, and it has a lot of physical activity in it. It's said to be haunted by a young woman from the 19th century. They don't know how she got there, but she wears like the 19th century attire, and she just kind of roams around the community center, and you can hear disembodied voices, and that's fun. So, bordello workers allegedly used the site, which is now the community center, to entertain their customers. One such woman was murdered there, and her spirit seems to be bound to that area. Her ghost has been seen throughout Spook Hall over the years, and she has a reputation for knocking things over so people know that she's there. Like, she wants to be known. She wants everyone to see her. She's like, look at me.
Do people actually see her, or are they just seeing things get knocked over?
No, they see her. They see her apparition, and then they'll see things get knocked over.
Wow.
There are lots of ghost tours for this town. You can go. You can stay in all of the hotels. You can go into a lot of these restaurants in the community center. It's just that a lot of them reserve like the actual floors for their guests and not for the tours anymore, because they used to allow private tours of like everything, but then guests are like, always being bothered and stuff like that. It says that Jerome has a population of 474 people. 474 of you people are insane. I don't get it. I don't know why you would do that, but okay. I will say,
do you think it's because maybe they're not actually getting ever physically hurt? Like, no one's getting hurt.
Well, I guess technically they wouldn't be the ones like staying in these hotels. I will say it's a very beautiful, if you look at pictures of it, it's a very like beautiful little town. I mean, you can see like the hills and stuff, and the skyline's real pretty. But yeah, most of the town is pretty much still in a state of repair. A lot of places are abandoned. Like I said, you've got the abandoned hospital, and then you've got all of those hotels that are haunted. You've got the old mines that are haunted. There's lots of crazy, like I said, paranormal, like all the ghost adventurers and bagel bites and all of those types of people. What's his real name? I call him Bagel Bite, so I can't remember his real name now.
Zach Bagans.
Yeah, there we go. He goes there a lot. This is one quote I was gonna read from someone who stayed at the Jerome Grand Hotel. I spent a night in this hotel. I will never go back. The evening started with sounds of deep fingernail scraping across the door and the sound of a key going in and out of the lock. There was no keyhole. Woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of heavy breathing. Woke up to the sound of the TV being lifted. The TV was not actually moved, but the sound of electronics being lifted is very distinct. Woke up to the sound of a cart or gurney going down the hallway, but nothing was actually there, and the hall is carpeted now. When I finally decided to leave at 5 a.m., my radio station, which is normally tuned to 107.9, was at 56.1. I turned it to 95.5, and it changed itself to 73.5. I will never go back to this town. So that's straight from someone who has been there. So take that for what you will. You are more than welcome to go. If you do go, please let us know how that works out for you, because that would freak me out.
You said at the beginning, you're like, well, maybe you can sleep in your car. I feel like you'd probably get fucked with being in your car too. I feel like there's probably ghosts walking around.
Oh, that's true. I forgot the one lady who haunts that alleyway would probably come tap on your window. It says that at the peak of all of this stuff, the town had 15,000 people. Again, 78% of those were male. And now it's got, whatever I said, the 454 or whatever. So that's a giant decrease. So a lot of it you have to think has to be abandoned, has to be run down, not being maintained. So,
wow.
The wickedest town in the West. Like, there were, like I said, gambling and boozing and brawling. So, I don't know what you really expect, but it is definitely creepy. I'm looking at, I've looked through some of the pictures, and some of these buildings, they're just, creepy looking on their own. Like, you don't even have to go into them. But yes, there's another hotel there called the Grand View Hotel. It is, I believe it's abandoned, and it was haunted. It was destroyed in one of the fires, but pretty much, like I said, every hotel there is haunted. So, let us know.
Wow.
That's my story. I could probably keep talking about other places, but essentially just know that every place is haunted.
Everywhere.
And then they have...
I'm going to go scare myself, and after we're done here, I am going to try to watch some of these YouTubes.
Yes, some of it's pretty crazy. And the city itself, they have if you go there and you're walking around the town, they do have landmark plaques everywhere, but then they also have these weird art museum exhibits in random places to show you what the inside of one of the hotel rooms looked like, or where this person was murdered or that person was murdered. So it's kind of like an outdoor random museum spots around the town. It's kind of weird.
That is weird. Wow.
Yes. They also have a lot right now. They also have a jail that's haunted. They have a lot of bars, a lot of restaurants. So it's basically just a drinking town. Bars and coffee bars is what they describe it as now. So Number one destination.
I'm gonna watch some of these things. I also want to see if anybody has any proof of the cat. I'm gonna look for those pictures.
Well, they said there were pictures. I just didn't look into the pictures itself, but they did say that ghosts have taken pictures of the cat, like staring.
Guests.
Yes.
Guests or ghosts?
Guests and ghosts, probably. I don't know, but guests.
The ghosts are taking selfies.
I meant to say the guests, but the ghosts are probably taking selfies in this town.
Yeah, they're all posted it to Insta.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, guys. I was reading a little bit about the Conner Hotel, and it says it was considered an upscale luxury hotel that was too expensive for the ladies of the night. So instead, Husband's Alley was created on the west end of the building with a false storefront that led to rows of what they call cribs or shacks with beds in them. And that was where that one lady was murdered that continues to haunt that alleyway.
Dean.
Yeah, Sammy Dean. She haunts Sammy Dean was her house, but there was another one that
I thought Sammy Dean was okay.
It was I will tell you in just a second. It was maybe it was Sammy Dean. You're right, Sammy Dean. Sammy Dean. I was thinking that Sammy Dean was haunting just her house because that's where the mayor's son killed her. But yes, you're correct. She was haunting the Husband's Alley. So the Husband's Alley was this false storefront at the back of this luxury hotel that had a row of cribs and shacks that had little beds in it. So that's where they were hooking up.
No. That's a lot of like male energy. I love you guys, but that's just like
male.
Oh, is that
the kitty? He came to make an appearance. That's what you hear when you stay at the hotels in Jerome. That's exactly what you hear all night long. So, anywho.
That's a lot of nope for me.
The more I look at stuff, the more I'm like, no.
But I'm going to watch this stuff now, and I'm going to scare myself, and I'm not going to go to sleep.
That Jenny lady, the one that now haunts the Mile High Inn, that moves stuff around, she was the richest woman in Arizona at all. And she's when she appears, when people do see her, they say she's wearing a black dress, and it's usually in the center of the balcony, which is like the main area of the hotel, but that she does move stuff around to like kind of fit it into where she wants it.
Right. How many times do I have to tell you? She's probably yelling.
Yes. And then there's another hotel called the Sullivan Hotel, which I'm sure that's haunted. Like I said, literally just look up any hotel in Jerome, Arizona, and it's haunted. It's called Jerome, Arizona. Literally everything is haunted. The Jerome Grand Hotel was 5 floors. Yeah. The Jerome Hotel was 5 floors, and it's like the most beautiful.
Huge.
Yeah. It did you look at it? It has a beautiful view. I mean, if I didn't know how haunted it was, I would stay there. It's a beautiful hotel.
It really is.
Anyways.
It's beautiful. Yeah, but it's huge. I wasn't expecting it to be as big as it is. It's really large.
Yeah.
But I guess it was hospital, so I guess it was. Yeah, it's huge. But yeah, that was a great story. Wow, another place I'm never gonna go.
That's my goal, to keep everyone home by telling you one haunted town at a time.
Like after watching Blair Witch, I was like, pave everything. Fuck nature.
Okay, speaking of Blair Witch, this is relevant. So I was working late last night in my office building, okay? Like, I work late every night, but last night I was here really late. I was here until like 8 o'clock. I went to the bathroom on my floor, which happens to be the 3rd floor, which apparently is the most haunted in all of these hotels. Anyways, I walk into the bathroom, and sitting on top of like the toilet paper roll thing was this little stick figure thing made out of toilet paper, which, okay, I don't know who would take enough time to fucking sit there and make this thing, but it was like sitting.
Someone who was pooping.
Okay, yeah, but the thing is, like, it wasn't there at 5. It was there at 7 almost everyone on the office, like on my floor, wasn't even here yesterday. Like their lights were off. So I come out of the bathroom fully expecting to be like Blair Witch or something standing there. And like the lights in the building are all dim at that hour. And so like it was eerily quiet. I had just seen this weird figure in the bathroom. I have never got out of this office building so fast. I freaked myself out because the elevator was sitting at the floor below mine. Couldn't hear, like, it was so eerie sounding. Like, I don't know how to describe it. And it was like dark and this figure. Yeah. And so, yeah, I booked it out of here. And I'm booking myself out of here as soon as this is over. Like,
yeah. So it's still light outside. So you're good. But barely. I'm watching the sun go down.
I will post the picture of this weird stick figure made out of toilet paper because I swear it looked just like a Blair Witch figure, only from toilet paper. Did you keep it? Hell no, I didn't touch it. I just took a picture.
You just took a picture of it?
I took a picture. I didn't touch it. I didn't want to, like, invoke whatever the hell that...
Oh, yeah, I know. I don't know what
I didn't look in the second stall either because I didn't know if there was something worse in the second stall.
Yeah, we just...
So I could hold it. I let it go. I left the bathroom and I got my stuff and immediately left the building.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah. So, anyways,
all right, everybody. Well, on that note,
yes, don't don't office or stay on the third floor of whatever you're in.
Oh my gosh. Well, all right, everybody. That's it for this week. You know how to find us if you want to get in touch with us. Please do. And I have a story for you next week. I don't quite remember what it is, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. And anything else?
Just send us your suggestions for stories. We have a list, but if you have a story, send it to us. Question of the week suggestions, anything you want to tell us. If you want to tell us you love us, whatever. Facebook messages.
Because we love you too.
Yes. Facebook is the best way to reach us.
All right, everybody. Until next week, please stay safe, be kind to one another. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.